it says live. Oh, there we go. We got it. Hello. Look at this. We're in the same room.
Same space.
Oh, we got it. Hello. Look at this. We're in the same room. Hang on one second, because now you're going to get what I... Yeah, well, this
Hang on one second.
Now you... Okay.
There we go.
Okay.
So confused.
Hard for the course. So, hello, welcome everybody. I'm Sandra.
I'm Shannon.
And
I'm Trisha McCune.
And Trisha is of CLE Foodies fame.
CLE food blogger.
Yeah, I'm a food blogger.
Tell everyone who you are and some of the amazing things that you've done.
So I've been a food blogger for a decade here in Cleveland. I have won Best Instagram 10 times in 10 years. I say 1 in 12 Clevelanders knows who I am because I was once on a jury and
wow.
taking pictures of me and told me she was going to go home and see if that was me. I've done a lot of different stuff in the food industry here. I was in a culinary incubator shortly after I started blogging, with like Mason's Creamery and a lot of like really well-known businesses that are still thriving today. I had a food truck, walk and roll for
walk and roll,
walk and roll in Rock and Roll City. It made sense.
I love it.
And in 2016, we were simultaneously listed as the number 6th and number 8th best food truck in America. We were on Zagat's 10 hottest food trucks before we ever sold a thing off the truck. And we ended up on Guy's Grocery Games, competing to win money. We didn't win, but we had a lot of fun, and it was fun to meet Guy and be on the Food Network, and it was just one of my goals. So now I have a media company, and I work with small businesses and try and help them with their digital marketing because that's my background. And I love food, so I still food blog. Even when I can't eat, even when I went through chemo, I try and do as much food blogging as I can. And I like to travel and eat. And I have my partner as part of my channel, and he just got recognized by the COO of Lutheran Hospital where he works because they no longer wear masks. And they want to have a meeting with him because they were fangirling on him. So we just have fun together, and we go and eat places and record it and, help increase awareness for local edible brands.
Yes, you are multifaceted for sure.
Yeah.
And I would love for you to share maybe a little bit about some of your journey and your struggles and really your relationship with food and what food means to you and how that's impacted you.
I mean, since I was a kid, food has meant love. I mean, it's my grandma cooked all these amazing meals, and, when she made liver and onions, I would eat liver and onions and I wouldn't complain. And, it wasn't my favorite meal, but I would eat it. And she would make 100 dozen Christmas cookies every Christmas, and we would share them through the family. And even my mom didn't cook a lot, but when she did, like, she wanted me to eat it right away because, eat it while it's best and while it's hot. And that was her way of, as harsh as it was, that was her way of showing love. And my grandpa had his own accounting firm. He belonged to several country clubs, and I would go to these events. There would be like ice sculptures filled with shrimp and just all this wild food. And my Aunt Jane introduced me to steak tartare as a child that I don't think you're supposed to feed children. So wow. I went to seafood restaurants. My family would take me on vacation and we would go to seafood restaurants. And, when I was too little to eat, they'd put me in the high chair and they'd give me a full crab and a hammer. And so I had a lot of crazy food experiences starting really early. I ate in the Capitol building because we were friends with a congressman. So I've had a lot of really cool food experiences. So it's just always been, food has always meant love and meant been a big part of my life. I grew up with it. Was never the only eat hot dogs and pizza person. I was a vegetarian because my dad used to overcook meat. And so I kind of, rejected meat for about 5 or 6 years, but Lily, that's my little dog. I just love food. And, I was really jealous of the office foodie when I worked in digital marketing that, everybody would go to her and like, where should I go to eat? And I was like, that's really interesting to me. Whenever I'm jealous of someone, I'm like, I know that's something I need to be doing. And so I started the food blog, and, I wanted to get people to try different things. People in general just eat the same things over and over again. And I fell in love with Vietnamese food as a kid, and I lived in a place that only had like one red and white Chinese menu kind of place. So, I tried to share my love for Vietnamese food, and I fell in love with Korean food. And so my food truck was Vietnamese and Korean, and I really shared those flavors with my city and got a lot of people to try those things in a kind of non-intimidating way of going into a restaurant, not knowing anything on the menu and just trying to figure it out. I would kind of help people with, here are some dishes you can eat, here are some flavors you can try, to learn about those kind of foods.
And how do you think that your love of food, relationship with food, has impacted your health journey and where you are now too?
Well, my parents really raised me on a lot of like processed foods, so I don't think that has helped me. I've literally had a weight problem since I was 4. And trying to, be on those weird diets, like the one where you drink coffee and eat green beans. Like I was on that at a very young age. And the diets never worked. And, my mom and I would exercise, but it never really worked. And then I had thyroid cancer. And since I went through that, I've had 3 cancers before I turned 40. But thyroid cancer, since I had that, the only way for me to lose weight was through chemo for ovarian cancer, and I wasn't eating and threw up every day for months upon months, and I lost a lot of weight by throwing up constantly. But it's just been really hard to lose any kind of weight since the thyroid cancer. I've noticed that I stay pretty steady or go up. And the constant nausea that I had from some of my medications made me try and eat a lot to kind of comfort my stomach, and make me feel better. Like if my stomach was full, I felt like I didn't feel the nausea as much. And I've had 4 surgeries for every 4 years. The last 4 years I've had a surgery every year. They took my gallbladder out to try and stop my vomiting, and I started violently throwing up bile after that surgery for weeks. It had the exact opposite effect. And we found out it was one of my medications that was causing me to vomit. And so I switched to insulin for my blood sugar, and then we found out I was super insulin resistant and ended up having to have angioplasty because I had an ulcer in my toe that I'm still dealing with today. And that was really tough. I was really trying to get back into my business and open up after going through chemo, and having a hernia from chemo, everything that could go wrong went wrong when I had chemo. That actually, I sneezed and my wound came open. Like I had everything. I got a pulmonary embolism. I had C. diff. I had 2 abscesses, and my hernia. I had my lower intestines were coming out above my belly button. I found the guy I wanted to have children with, and then he moved in, and I had a full hysterectomy 2 weeks later. Like, and then when I had this hernia, people would rub my belly and like congratulate me and him, thinking I was pregnant. So it was just, I tell people that chemo is like being blindfolded and beat with a heavyweight bag. Like I wouldn't wish it on my worst enemy. And I think all of it has been such a struggle, and food has just been intertwined in all of it. And being a lover of food and not being able to eat food at times is tragic. It's honestly super tragic. And I liked when I could be at the hospital. I would enjoy hospital food if I got to eat it. Sometimes they wouldn't feed me. I would get in the hospital after chemo, and they would, like, I had an intern put in one of my lines, and they when they did the contrast for the CT scan, it infiltrated my arm, and so I wasn't allowed to eat for a whole nother 24 hours waiting to get another CT scan, and all I could do was vomit. And they won't discharge you out of the hospital until you stop vomiting for 24 hours. So my boyfriend would sneak me in edibles and those would help me stop vomiting and eat enough food to get me out of the hospital. And I had one of my friends sit with me at a chemo, and she told me that she spent like 30 days in the hospital not being able to lift her head. And that would have been me if he had not brought me in those edibles, for sure, because my first and second chemos put me in the hospital. So yeah, I mean, food is I love food and I hate food. I've talked to Shannon about this. Like if you just hook an IV bag up to me and I'm never hungry, I'd be fine with that. And I'm okay with like a liquid diet and trying to replace some meals with drinks just to make it easier. And it's hard to food blog some days. I'm not quite as prolific as I used to be. In 2016, I posted 360 times on my Instagram, and I kicked myself every one of those 6 days of that year I didn't post. And now, if I get 2 posts out a week, that's a good week for me. But I'm trying to evolve my relationship with food, and I'll get there.
But you have an amazing mindset around yourself, around your body, around the future.
Yeah. I have this friend that I talk to on Instagram, and she's like, "You're so inspiring," and I just, I say all the time, you don't know how strong you are until you have to be. And coming as close to death as I did a few times during chemo, the pulmonary embolism, like I was just getting a routine CT scan when they found that pulmonary embolism. I didn't feel it or anything. Then that's what my mom actually passed from. So, that was a really scary moment. And, I would look in the mirror sometimes, and I would see like a monster looking back at me, because all my hair fell out. The week I lost my eyebrows and eyelashes was devastating. When I got C. diff, I fell on the ground, is how we found out I had C. diff. And that was just super difficult to go through. So, coming that close to death just makes me happy to wake up every day, honestly. And, I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to feel, I wouldn't say I feel normal at any point in time, but I feel a lot closer to a normal, and I at least feel human not being through chemo. Like chemo, I had to do so many edibles every day just to feel human. and to get off some of those medications that were making me almost constantly nauseous, as much as now I'm back on one of them, but a little lower form. It's I'm happy to wake up. I have a really great life. There's not a lot I can complain about. And somewhere along the way I found optimism, and I think from being so good at my work sometimes, and loving my work, and some of the things I've accomplished, no one can ever take from me. And I feel like I've lived at least 4 lifetimes compared to like a lot of people maybe I went to high school with or something. I just have done so much. When I set goals, I smash them. And nobody can take that from me. So, if I wake up and I'm doing what I love, every day is great for me.
That's awesome.
Mm.
So I thought it was interesting that you said food is love.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Is it one of the ways you receive love, or is it or is it one of the ways that you give love?
Definitely both. I mean, every meal, the my grandma's Thanksgiving is just second to none. And one of the weird things she makes that is so Thanksgiving to me, she would always make blueberry muffins for Thanksgiving. So like, to me, blueberry muffins are such this like Thanksgiving filled with love thing. And my boyfriend never goes hungry. I will not let him go hungry. I'm constantly feeding him, and he loves food too. So it's really cool. And he doesn't cook a lot, but when he does, he makes really good food. So I just make sure he's constantly fed, and I love to spoil him. One of his birthdays, I took him to Venice Beach. We stayed in Venice Beach for a week, and I got him this like giant hot dog cake. Like, we ate like 2 pieces of that cake, but it was this big, expensive cake, but it was a giant hot dog. And I just, I went for it for him, just to spoil him. And it feels good to feed him. And then when I see how much he enjoys the food, that's the gift for me. So yeah, I really, that road goes both ways.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because one of the things that we've been talking about is that there is a very much an emotional connection, not just with food, but with our bodies and how we feel about food and how we feel about our bodies.
Yeah.
And I have often found that I have a love relationship with food, right? So I clicked onto that comment that you made and said, that really resonates for me. In my family, when we were growing up, when we sat down and had meals, right, they were usually fun, happy moments.
Yeah.
Right. So there is that connection for me of sitting down for a meal is a fun, happy event.
Yeah. I mean, I started really early too. My birthday is October 4th, and by my first Thanksgiving, they put mashed potatoes in my mouth, and they could not shovel that in fast enough. And I remember like birthday parties, like, it was my grandpa's birthday, and we had this birthday cake, and they're coming into the room with the birthday cake, and my aunt drops it on the floor, and we were all like, oh, like it was tragic. And we talked about it for years. Like, food was just, and my grandma was such an amazing cook. And the things she made were just such traditions in the family, and she would make them over and over again. So, and now I try and make some of those things, and it's really fun. Food is always the center of everything growing up. It was the most memorable times were centered around the family dinner table for events and stuff.
I find it interesting, as you were talking, I was thinking how society in general often almost demonizes food and tries to separate food from emotion. right? The diet culture especially. Oh, should just be fuel, and oh, food is for this. But we're human beings, and that's not how we operate, right? We operate from places of emotion. And when it means love to you, sometimes growing up, that's in opposition to what we're being taught.
Right.
I love that, like, it's okay to see food as love.
Mm-hmm.
It doesn't have to be a negative thing.
Yeah.
Because clearly it is not, right? Food
Right.
is not a bad thing.
Right.
Okay, to see food as love and comfort.
Well, I was just going to say, it's interesting that there is that separation between the emotion and in the diet culture, the emotion around that we have around food and the food, right? And the food as fuel, because we talk about comfort food.
Mm-hmm.
We actually use that word to describe those things that bring up memories, those things that make us feel better, those things that we go to when we're not feeling powerful or confident or happy, that, give us that sense of a hug. And so why would we not? Do you follow what I'm saying? It's just so interesting that if we're so into this idea of comforting and food, why we would try to separate those things instead of just acknowledging. I mean, part of me understands why we try to do that, right? To decouple that link between the feeling and the food item. Or we can use that coupling, right, to recognize this is what's happening for me and to deal with the emotional part of it rather than the food part of it.
Right.
Yeah, to this day, like, even when I'm super nauseous and having a hard time eating, I can still eat mashed potatoes. Like, my first food is still my most favorite comfort food. I've gone to restaurants with friends and ordered something and I'm like, I can't eat. I can't even eat what's in front of me. And I'll steal my best friend's potatoes. And she'll let me have them because, the potatoes are something that I can handle at almost no matter at my lowest. I can handle those potatoes. And is it because it was my first ever taste of food and it just is so comforting that, there's nothing like it for me? I'm not sure. It's certainly deep into my soul, the comfort of the mashed potatoes can bring.
So you're going to come to our Nourish Day. Yay,
I'm
we're so excited to have you.
Yeah.
And I guess I'm wondering, what appeals to you about the day and what are you looking forward to taking away with you?
Well, I mean, I am somebody that loves to network. I like to talk to people. I like to inspire people. I like to connect with people. And I like to go to new places. This sounds like it's a really cool place that we're going to be. I like to explore and travel and, I'm hoping to just make some new friends and learn some new things and, share some of my knowledge and hope that, I inspire someone or, learn something that I take with me for the rest of my life.
So beautiful.
Thank you, Trisha. Trisha inspires me every day. Always inspiring.
Well, I'm excited for you to meet my friend Diane.
Cool.
And taste her cooking.
Oh my gosh, you're gonna love it, Trisha.
Oh. Nice. Yeah, I love trying food.
Oh, well, so Diane and I go on vacation together with our kids. And Diane says, I'm in charge of the crafts because she doesn't like to do the crafts.
Yeah.
And I will be her sous chef forever because she makes amazing food. I don't need to cook. She loves to cook. and I just like to eat. So I go for all the eating.
Diane is going to be doing all of our cooking for the
Yes.
day.
Okay.
Also going to be giving a little presentation. So it will be, I think the two of you are going to have a good time together.
Awesome. Yeah, I can't wait.
Yeah.
Exciting.
What else, Sandra? What else do we need to know before we?
I am so excited about our day together. And, really, I think a large part of our day is going to be exploring this connection we have with
Mhm.
our emotions,
Yeah.
food, and how we feel about our bodies, or in our bodies, right? So we have a lot of feelings about our body, and when we're in our body, and how we expect our body to look. And we're really going to be exploring that, and the connection that it has with how we eat, what we choose to eat, and how what we eat and how we choose to eat impacts how we feel about our body, and back and forth. It's like this cyclical relationship. It's not a standstill thing, and how our body changes over time also impacts how we eat, how we treat it, how we feel about it, and then ultimately how we feel about ourselves.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, I'm just kind of putting those pieces together now about, you know, how your body feels connected with your mental health. Because I've, for the last decade, my mental health is, despite going through a lot of things, 3 cancers, tons of surgeries, all this hardship in my life, losing my parents, all these things, my mental health has stayed pretty strong. And I wouldn't have considered myself as a child, I would not have considered my mental health strong. It was something that I put a lot of effort into. And despite not feeling great about my body, and my body not being in great shape all the time, I've still been a very happy person. So I'm just starting to understand the connection of that. And I think moving in a right direction in terms of my physical health has been helping me. I box 2 nights a week, and it's something I really love. I connect with all the women in my boxing class, and we just have a great workout together, and we get to know each other, and we have fun. And I've never exercised and had fun before, and this is the first time I've found some fun in, like, really pushing myself physically. And it feels really good, and it is helping with my mental health, despite me not having any kind of big deficit there. There's only up I can go, so it feels really good. It's fun to connect that and understand it, and be active and trying to better myself on a physical level, which has never been on much of my radar, honestly. So
What I find so interesting about what you just shared
yeah.
is that the concept of, it's not just about the exercise, it's about the community.
Community is huge for me, and I know that a lot of because I'm almost double the age of most of the girls in there, and a lot of them are understanding that community aspect from this class. And I've known since I started blogging, I've known about community, the food community in Cleveland. A lot of people don't know this. If you mess with one of us, you're messing with all of us, because we are family. We really fight for one another. We love one another. While there's a few bad apples in the whole bunch, there's very few. Most of us are really loving family to one another. If someone messes with my best friend Kiwi, who owns a Thai restaurant, who owns Thai, like, they're gonna get it from me as well. Like, I'm gonna go after them as well. So don't mess with my best friend. And or any of us, really. Like, there's some of the big veterans in the food community that have multiple restaurants and years and years and years of success. They look over us and support us. And, you know, we give that back, and we feel it, and we appreciate it. And it's a very loving community. And it was so fun to be part of. And I think that was a big part of what helped my blog soar, is that it wasn't just me going to some random restaurant that invited me in. It was me going to my friends' places and sharing what made them awesome and what they did so well, and me understanding them, and me understanding what they wanted to communicate, and me being friends with all these people, because I was literally in the industry. And I think I'm the only food blogger in Cleveland that's ever been in the industry to the degree that I did, owning my own food business. So, you know, I think that really helped set me apart and made me very different. And you know, I understood community from that point. When my second event was at Momocho in the parking lot with the veteran trucks of Fahrenheit and like all these veteran trucks, and we got rained out 2 hours in, but we'd already sold out because Eric Williams was yelling Korean poutine, Korean poutine, Korean poutine when we first opened our flaps. And him and Michael Killick of Killick's Hot Sauce told everyone to get that dish, and we sold out in those 2 hours. So that was just kind of my first taste of community. And Eric had been so supportive of my blog, but you know, when I saw that level of community, that they could sell me out in 2 hours by just, you know, hyping up what I did, I loved it. So yeah, even though I'm not in that industry anymore, I'm still a big part of that community. I've done food tours in Cleveland, and my food tours, what I try and do is I get people into places, I give people experiences that other people cannot. I've had a surprise birthday party for this guy who loved donuts. I got him into brew nuts 6 months before they opened. And like Shelly herself gave us a tour of the space and told us what they were going to do with it. And she made happy birthday Rob in like donut letters. So, I mean, nobody else could have done that for them. I had a couple come in from New York City to vacation in Cleveland. They chose Cleveland to vacation, and they wanted to do an iconic Cleveland food tour. I took them to Express Deli on the day, I got them to open up on the day they were closed, give us a special like meal. Like they made, we had burnt ends and all these, there was Reuben mac and cheese, and they made it in cast iron with like the breadcrumbs on top and all this stuff that, you know, nobody gets to experience. And they didn't charge us a thing for it. Like they didn't even charge us for that experience. And the people said that was worth the price of admission. And then I took them to Park to Shop, you know, an Asian grocery store, and they were so excited to run around this Asian grocery store. They thought it was great. And, you know, to bring someone from New York City who understands food on a different level than your average, you know, Ohio person, and be able to show these people stuff that nobody else can show them, by being part of the industry, not just, you know, an outsider judging someone's food, you know, like, you know, I don't call myself a food reviewer. I'm just showing what a place does well, you know?
Yeah, community is really important, and it's a huge part of what Sandra and I are trying to do
Yes.
with the retreat and with the group circle afterwards. Community is essential, and the retreat is all about creating that safe space, creating that community of women where you can feel safe to share and be vulnerable and lift each other up and comfort them and talk about these hard issues.
Yeah, I think that oftentimes we think we're the only one who feels the way we feel. And when we give voice to how we're feeling, a lot of people stand up and say, oh, I am so grateful you said that, because I feel the same way and I thought I was the only one. Or they'll feel empowered to share their stories, and in doing that, release a lot of shame and guilt that they've been holding on to because somebody else empowered them through their openness and their sharing. And so community is critical to not only coming together around a particular theme, a particular topic, but also in understanding ourselves, because it's in community that we're able to express what's really going on for us and receive the validation that we're okay.
Yeah, I know. I think community is absolutely necessary. It's, loneliness is killing a lot of people. And, if you never find that community, I just can't imagine living like that myself. I'm thankful to be part of a lot of different communities in the Cleveland area. And because of what I do, I've gotten to meet so many people. One of my good friends is a burlesque dancer. Like I tell people, there's a lot to live up to when your friend is a burlesque dancer. But
A lot of body positivity there.
Yeah.
yeah, well, I mean, she's a plus size burlesque dancer.
That's
So
what I'm saying, right?
I found a lot of confidence through going to the burlesque shows, and so many of her performers at her shows, this is Bella Sin, she owns Cleveland Burlesque. So many of her performers are plus size, and I found it freeing that, this is beauty, this is sexy, this is, people being creative and showing off their bodies in these interesting ways, and they don't have any shame, and they aren't trying to hide themselves. I found so much confidence through going to those burlesque shows, and that's a community I'm very happy to be a part of, even in a small way. Just going to Bella's shows and helping her promote, and being a part of her community feels really good. It's very body positive.
Amazing.
Mhm. Well, thank you.
Thank you
Trisha.
so much.
Yeah.
Yeah. And we're excited that you're coming,
Yeah.
and we're excited to share this day with you. And yeah,
I guess that's
It'll be
it.
fun.
It
It'll
will
be
be
fun. I'm excited to eat. Ready to eat.
it'll be great.
The
The food will be great.
Yes.
Excellent.
I'm not in charge of the food, so the food will be great. All right. Thank you so much, Trisha. And we'll talk to everybody on Friday.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.